включити відеозапис Давида Петрасека з Чехії. Він сьогодні вже приймав у нас участь, надавав запитання до однієї з учасників Де Пробінс. А зараз прошу переглянути відеозапис його лекції про успішні проєкти в Чехії.
Now, Margarita is inviting Давид Петрасек his video to watch his video about the successful projects in Czech Republic.
In 2001, we founded the patient organization called Parent Project. In 2013, we founded our current patient organization called End Duchenne, which main focus is providing support for adults with DMD. Our patient organization, End Duchenne, in cooperation with Rehabilitation Clinic in Kendal in Belgium, was able to improve the ventilation care, which led to increased lifespan not only of Duchenne patients, but also of patients with other neuromuscular diseases as well. The House of Commons in the Czech Republic will be making decision in 2021 whether or not non-invasive ventilation support will be covered by the health insurance. This legislation act is demanding that patients with neuromuscular disorders will get 2 ventilation devices capable of multiple modes of operation, which will be equipped with a backup source, and all this will be fully covered from the health insurance. We were able to persuade medical doctors in the Czech Republic that non-invasive ventilation support is totally safe for DMD patients, even when used continuously every day. We thank to Dr. Michel Touzant from Belgium and to Dr. David Kemling from Clinic of Neurology of the First Medical Faculty of Charles University and General Teaching Hospital in Prague for their professional involvement in the project. A Breathe in the New Life, which we have been working on since 2013. How to make comprehensive specialized care available for adults with Duchenne or Becker. It is not possible to have multiple specialized centers, each for single diagnosis like DMD or BMD. So in order for it to be effective, it is necessary to centralize all neuromuscular disorders into one neuromuscular center. Unfortunately, the care for adults with neuromuscular diseases in the Czech Republic is shattered, and for some diseases the specialized care is completely missing. We do not have a neuromuscular center which would meet the criteria of comprehensive health care for patients with neuromuscular disorders. This is a challenge for our patient organization. We invited other neuromuscular patient organizations to cooperate. Without this cooperation, our mutual coordination in the Czech Republic, it is not possible to bring about changes in our system which would lead to a better care for patients with neuromuscular diseases. That's why we founded the platform for neuromuscular disorders and carers, and we together with our partners coordinate the goals and steps needed for achieving them. In case of DMD or any other neuromuscular disease, it is not acceptable to separate specialized care, health care, and social care. It is not viable to separate patients from carers. Without medical tools which are needed for patients to live, the healthcare will not work, and vice versa. Without the help of personal carers, it is not possible to survive when it comes to neuromuscular disorder. The social needs of patients with a severe disability, such as the need to study and to work or living independently without parents, are the alpha and omega during transition to adulthood. In the Czech Republic, because of the insufficient care subsidy, it is not possible to pay carers for the uninterrupted everyday care. That is why the majority of adults with DMD or BMD live together with their parents and spend life sitting in front of the computer. Special education is often reachable only within a long driving distance, and boarding schools are not able to accommodate a student with a ventilator on a weekly stay. At the moment, adults with Duchenne or Becker are monitored in the sleep laboratory in Prague, where is also situated the physician's office. Unfortunately, this hospital facility is not barrier-free, and thus many patients are unable to undergo essential procedures like electrocardiography, echocardiography, or polysomnography. That's why we suggested to the medical doctors in this hospital to provide polysomnography, electrocardiography, or changing the percutaneous endoscopic gastronomy directly in the homes of those individuals. Sometimes, because of the inability to perform respiratory function tests, the patient dies because he does not receive the ventilation support or medication. We urgently need the Neuromuscular Center not only to provide the comprehensive care and relief services, but also to enable the conduct of clinical trials. It is in the area of clinical trials that the Czech Republic lacks significantly within the European Union. The current system of obtaining medical tools and subsidies is unsatisfactory for the families of adult patients. It is time-consuming and physically demanding. These approval processes involve unnecessary bureaucracy and various medical examinations before the medical tool is finally approved by the review physician. For example, to obtain an electric wheelchair, you must first obtain the recommendation of at least 7 specialists, which takes about 3 months. The application is then assessed by the review physician. Then it takes a long time for the wheelchair to be made. In the end, it can take nearly a year in the Czech Republic to be delivered the electric wheelchair, which is unacceptable. Neuromuscular disorders are typically progressive, so it often happens that before the family manages to obtain the necessary medical tool, the patient is no longer able to use it due to a worsened health condition. For example, a loss of ability to control an electric wheelchair, a collapsed spine, etc. At the same time, the individual neuromuscular disorders are sufficiently well described in the official literature, including their progression, and there are tailor-made solutions available to patients. An example of such solution is the utilization of registries. In those registries, even review physicians would have access and could almost immediately approve the medical tool as required previously by the specialized physician. Now we present, from our point of view, how should the future possible neuromuscular center operate to meet the patient needs. In the center, there is a need for collaboration between the multidisciplinary team of physicians and the social workers to provide the best quality of life for patients from the perspective of health and social care. When a family visits the center, they are expected to be cared for according to the latest standards, and that these standards are regularly updated. In the center, the family would find a social worker who would help them to obtain the right medical tools and who would help to draw up an appropriate individual social support. During the visit, the maintenance or adjustments of family's medical tools will be done, or the patient's medical tools will be done. If one-day visit of the center is not enough for you to complete all necessary examinations and procedures or appointments, in the center, personal carers will be available, and family could use this relief service if needed in order to take some rest for a few days or hours. During a longer stay in the center, patients can meet up with each other and establish important contacts and friendships to exchange mutual experiences about how they cope with the disease, how they have achieved barrier-free living in their homes, what their hobbies are, what medical tools they use, and what plans do they have for the future, which is a motivation for the patients. In the Czech Republic, there is no sufficient relief service currently available for patients dependent on ventilation. There is a big risk involved, and that is discouraging the possible providers. The only relief services currently available are summer camps for children with ventilation support, and this takes place only once a year. That is very insufficient. There is no system of individual assessment of needs in the Czech Republic. Patients who need uninterrupted everyday care pay the biggest price. Unfortunately, the situation is such that it is indeed patients with neuromuscular disorders who in the Czech Republic fall through the state social support program and in the end are dependent on the help of foundations and sponsors. The legislation here does not take our patients into account, and we need to change this. Currently, we have the READY registry in the Czech Republic, which we established in cooperation with Masaryk University in Brno in 2011 under the patient organization Parent Project. Gradually, other neuromuscular disorders were also incorporated. In comparison with Belgium, Belgium has more than 60 groups of neuromuscular disorders present in its registry. But our registry is very small. It has only 7 groups of neuromuscular disorders. Registries are extremely essential, not only for patient identification and clinical trials, but also for improving the quality of healthcare and social services planning. Adult patients with DMD in the Czech Republic were inspired in the Great Britain and following the efforts of Pathfinders UK, decided to establish a similar organization with the same goal. This goal consists of the patient advocacy for the independent living and the availability of the comprehensive specialized healthcare. Their plans are huge, but the main one is cooperation with adult patient organizations from all over the world. As a start, these young men set out to shoot a video about their lives. They plan to write a book with their stories and also to regularly publish a magazine. End Duchenne patient organization provided the boys and young men and girls with the necessary support to get started and wishes them good luck in implementing their projects. We will always stand by them and support them. So thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask and we will try to do our best to answer those.
Давид Петрасек. Дякую черговий раз.
Thank you, David, again.
Можливо, є питання у когось у чаті до Девіда.
If there are questions in the chat, please feel free to ask.
Ні, не бачу я питань, але
There are no questions,
в мене є питання.
but Margarita has got a question.
Скажіть, будь ласка, скільки часу у вас пройшло від того, як до вас приїхав доктор Дюшенн із Бельгії, як він провів навчання щодо застосування вентиляційних апаратів до того часу, як вам стала допомагати державна влада?
Please tell us the time period after arrival of Dr. Dushen with the training of ventilation equipment and beginning of start of their assistance from the government.
Once again, you want to know about some medicine. I didn't hear the name of the medicine.
The medication.
Коли ми знаємо, що зараз в Чеській Республіці пацієнти з хворобою Дюшенна забезпечуються дихальними апаратами портативними безкоштовно. Скільки часу пройшло від вашого проєкту навчання, використання цих апаратів до того, як держава вам почала вже допомагати?
We know that currently the government of Czech Republic is providing patients with ventilation equipment free of charge. And we know that before it, Dr. Dushen came to Czech Republic to support this project. How long did it take for the government to get involved into this project? So was it probably half a year after Dr. Dushen did it, or did it take it longer?
About what project are you asking me right now? What is the name of the project? You want to know?
Мартін – це перший пацієнт, який отримав портативний дихальний апарат.
Martin was the first patient who got the portable ventilation equipment
В Чеській Республіці.
in Czech Republic.
Yes.
Так. Зараз вже ваш уряд допомагає таким пацієнтам, надає безкоштовно такі апарати. Я вірно розумію?
So now the Czech Republic government is providing such patients with the ventilation equipment, right? For free.
Yes, there has been some act that has allowed to do this.
Да, вони прийняли акт, який дозволяє це робити.
Скільки часу пройшло від того, як Мартін отримав перший апарат, і до того, коли держава зрозуміла, що треба допомагати таким пацієнтам?
How much time has passed from the moment Martin has got the first equipment and to the time when the government started to assist to provide with the equipment other patients?
It was around maybe almost 5 years.
Майже 5 років.
Зрозуміла.
Thank you.
Скажіть, будь ласка, як ви знаходите пацієнтів з хворобою Дюшенна в Чеській Республіці?
How do you find patients with Duchenne syndrome in Czech Republic?
Чи вам повідомляють лікарі, чи до вас самі пацієнти звертаються?
Do patients themselves apply to you or the doctors inform you about such patients?
Our patient organization does not actively look for families. They contact us on their own if they need information about DMD or if they want to know the personal experience from older parents.
Наші пацієнтські організації не працюють дуже активно, тому в основному пацієнти і сім'ї самі контактують, звертаються до нас для того, щоб отримати необхідну інформацію або для того, якщо вони мають питання щодо їхнього власного досвіду.
Чи відомо вам, скільки років самому молодшому пацієнту в Чехії і скільки років найстаршому пацієнту в Чехії?
How old is the youngest patient in Czech Republic and how old is the oldest Duchenne patient in your country?
Recently we were approached by a family whose son was 1 year old.
Нещодавно якраз пацієнта у дитини 1 року було діагностовано хворобу. And the oldest patient?
Once again,
Oldest patient. So 1 year old is the youngest patient, so the child, and the adult patient.
Yeah, and the oldest. As far as we know, there is one. He is 32 years old, and recently a patient who was 40 years old has died, but he spent the last few years of his life in the hospital on artificial lung ventilation with a tracheostomy.
У нас є інформація, що цьому пацієнту 32 роки, а нещодавно помер пацієнт, якому було 40 років. Він останні роки свого життя провів у лікарні на іскусственній вентиляції легких. Це була трахеостомія.
Дякую. Скажіть, будь ласка, я знаю про те, що у вас цікавий проєкт реалізовується, коли старші пацієнти з хворобою Дюшенна допомагають інформаційно тим родинам, де нещодавно діагностували нових таких пацієнтів. Чи продовжується реалізація цього проєкту?
Does the project when the adult patients inform the newly diagnosed patients about the disease, is this project developing currently?
If the question is if the younger patients inform older
adult patients inform the newly diagnosed patients.
Inform the newly diagnosed patients. So we want to know if the older patients are informing younger patients about what specifically?
Про що вони їх інформують?
У нас в минулому році, коли ми зустрічались на нашій конференції, йшла розмова про те, що ті пацієнти, ті родини і пацієнти, які більш вже дорослі, вони розповідають молодшим про те, про специфічність захворювання, про які можуть бути ускладнення, тобто вони співпрацювали, допомагали інформаційно.
Last year at the conference, we spoke about the project when the adult patients informed the newly diagnosed patients about the specific features of the disease, about the peculiarities of care for this disease, which complications may occur during this disease, etc. So thus, is this project developing now when the adult patients inform younger patients, newly diagnosed patients?
I'm sorry, I'm not aware of such project in here going on. So you have to go to next question.
Ні, він не знає, про який проект ви говорите, він просить перейти до наступного питання.
По-іншому я приподнесла. Яка допомога від уряду для пацієнтів з хворобою Дюшенна в Чехії взагалі надається?
Which support does the Czech government provide to Duchenne patients?
The cooperation with physicians is very difficult because they are very busy.
Співпраця із лікарями дуже складна, тому що вони дуже зайняті.
But we try to invite them to conferences to present their experience in caring primarily for adult patients with DMD.
Але ми їх намагаємося запрошувати на конференції, тематика яких допомога дорослим пацієнтам із DMD.
We ask them for professional consultations, professional articles, etc. And we consult with them on our plans, which could improve the quality of care.
Ми їх просимо надавати професійні консультації, писати професійні статті і так далі. Тобто все на професійному рівні, що може знадобитися пацієнту.
We are now planning a pilot project about home care for adult patients with neuromuscular diseases for whom it is difficult to get to the hospital.
Зараз ми плануємо низку заходів, які пов'язані із щодо пацієнтів із нейром'язовими захворюваннями, для яких не є проблема доїхати до госпіталю.
And we would like to provide them with home care, EKG and capnometry examinations at their homes.
І ми б хотіли їх забезпечити необхідною допомогою і все, що їм необхідно в домашніх умовах.
Дякую. Скажіть, будь ласка, ви можете сказати, що який успіх у вас був протягом року? Ось ми рік тому зустрічались на конференції. Що ви можете сказати, що от за рік вже було досягнено? Або якась додаткова допомога від уряду, або якісь нові клінічні дослідження, або, можливо, стосовно заботи таких пацієнтів?
Could you please assess the progress which you have gained during this year in comparison with the previous year? Maybe some more clinical trials, maybe more support from the government. So is it progressive?
I'm not I can't compare anything. I have no knowledge in this area about clinical trials that are going on in the Czech Republic.
Я не можу порівняти, тому що у мене є недостатньо інформації щодо, наприклад, клінічних досліджень, які проводяться у Чеській Республіці.
You have to ask some of our colleagues, or some of my colleagues, and when it comes to what was the other part of the question?
Well, clinical trials was one of the aspects of assessment of the progression success in comparison with the previous year. So, what do you think? Is it did something was something added? I mean, was more work done? Did you get more results in your country in comparison with the previous year dealing with Duchenne syndrome?
I am not aware of what has happened in comparison to the previous year. You have to ask some of my colleagues for this. I have no knowledge about this.
На жаль, в нього немає інформації про те, що якби порівняти із минулим роком, що було зроблено порівняно з минулим роком. Ви маєте запитати у його колег про це. І, як я вже казала перед цим, що у нього немає інформації щодо клінічних досліджень. Також треба запитувати у колег.
Добре, дякую. Можливо, питання є в чаті.
Thank you very much. Maybe there are some questions in the chat
Можливо, хто хоче запитати в онлайні.
or online
Будь
questions.
ласка, піднімайте руки.
Пацієнт з трахеостомією в Квінсленді 59 йому виповнився. Він вірить, що він може бути найстаршим пацієнтом. Це не питання, це незвичайний випадок. No, we haven't got any questions. We got only information in the chat.
Де Робінс писала інформацію в чаті. Зрозуміла. Добре, дякую, Давид Петрасек. Я хочу сказати, що є зміни протягом року. Це те, що нас стало більше знайомих навколо всього світу. Принаймні, хоча б це є теж певним успіхом.
Thank you very much, David. I'd like to say that this year, in comparison with the previous year, is more successful, even if we speak about the number of people who are aware of this disease and the people who started to work on this topic.
Okay, goodbye. Have a nice day.
Goodbye. Have a nice day.